How's it going, Charismatic? So yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this enemy trivia playthrough. I really did enjoy finding all this trivia. It took a long time and a lot of work, but hopefully it was worth it. We are like 1/100th done. There's so much more. There's so many enemies in this game. So if you're enjoying it, strap in. We have a whole game ahead of us. It's a lot more to cover. And the enemies definitely do get more interesting outside of Midgar as they start getting bigger and more attacks and stuff. Oh yeah, I had the idea for this playthrough and thought it'd be something really unique, something that we've never done before, totally different than any other playthrough we've done. So I really wanted to try it, but I didn't know if there would be enough trivia for it to be interesting. So at first I was like, well, maybe we'll just do trivia of like enemies that are interesting, you know, and just skip the rest. And then I had an idea of doing every enemy because it would actually be a bit of a challenge to find every enemy. I was like, is there going to be something interesting to say about every enemy in the game? So I just started going through the list. And sure enough, I was able to come up with something for every enemy because there's a lot of interesting enemies. There's a lot of interesting stuff. So they worked really hard on the AI for even the simplest of enemies, even though you'd never see it. And then I started unearthing some really wild stuff. And I was like, we got to do this. We got to make this a playthrough. It would be super fun. And I really wanted to start it. I made it a incentive for Hollow Month, and I really wanted to start it directly after Hollow Month. But as I went down the rabbit hole, it became more and more of a task. Some enemies would take me an hour to go through everything, and I would just keep digging deeper and deeper into certain things. And like I said before, I wanted to test everything because there's a lot of inaccuracies too. But that took a long time. But I finally got it done, and now here we are. Oh, I found a ton. I should have written them all down, but I had enough to write down already. But yeah, there's a ton of just little things that are incorrect. Stuff that doesn't really matter too much. There's a few things I mention in my notes that are wrong on the wiki, but there was plenty more that I didn't mention. Now we should have enough time to at least see the red guard enemies. Maybe a few Shinra enemies. Actually, no. If I'm only going to fight one of each enemy, then I'm only going to have at most 2 carbon bangles. So I'll buy some mithril armlets. Normally I'd get a full stack of carbon bangles, but if I'm only going to fight one, then that's all I'm going to get. Well, I guess I'll get the 4 slots as well. It's a golden, shiny wire of hope. We gotta save Meredith. Who will give us our $1 million if we don't save Meredith? Imagine a world where they translated Aerith's name as Meredith. Like they tried to make it a more English-sounding name. She was Meredith this whole time. Let's go Madism. That's all we need, more British people in video games. Is Shara British? She does make tea. She comes back after the City of the Ancients, and she has tea for everyone. And before Heroes realizes that like half my audience is British. Alright, so who's ready to take the stairs? Gotta save at the giant save point. It's stairs time! Just kidding. We're breaking in. Because we gotta fight some guards. So these guys are not guard or not MPs. They are grenade combatants. Sorry, I can't read. A, B, C, D. There we go. So the original version of this enemy was only in the 1996 demo. Oh, I think I was wrong when I said this earlier. I said that the 1996 demo was with Cloud, Tifa, and Barret. I think that one was the one with Cloud, Aerith, and Barret. Because my note here says with Aerith playable. So I think the 96 demo was actually with Aerith. But anyways, in that demo, it was called Grenadier, Grenadier, and his model was yellow. In the final game, they were changed to this blue model, and a new enemy called Underwater MP took the yellow model instead. So I'll repeat that one more time so everyone's following along. There was the Grenadier, which was yellow in the demo. And then in the final game, it was turned into Grenade Combatant, given the blue model. And then the Underwater MP was given the yellow model, right? Now look at this. This is an enemy from Final Fantasy VII Remake. Do you notice the color of his armor is yellow? Guess what the name of this enemy is in Remake? The name of this enemy is Grenadier. So, in Remake, this is actually a reference to the original 1996 demo, which I never realized till I read this. So, if you're one of those people that are like, what did the remake do to actually bring us stuff from the original game? This is actually a reference to the original demo version of this enemy, instead of the actual enemy from the real game. So I never knew that, but there you go. They could have just called it MP and made him blue. They could have just called him Grenade Combatant and turned him blue. But they said, you know what? We'll go back to the original demo and take the original enemy from the original demo before they changed it, just as like a little reference to those that know. And when we played the remake, I didn't even realize. I wish I had known, and I would have pointed it out during our remake playthrough. But there you go. The remake enemy is actually a reference to the demo enemy. And I think we can only fight them on this floor, but we can fight some enemies in the elevator. And another pincer. Yeah, believe it or not, it's not just randomly changed for the sake of changing it in the remake. Some things are, to be fair. But a lot of the changes they made are either nods or have a reason for being changed. I'm looking at you, Terror of the Deep. I hate that name. I hate that name. Why'd they have to do my boy Bottom Swell so rough? Bottom Swell's such a cool name. Just leave it Bottom Swell. What the heck? Why does that sound so deep? Chocobo Billy, is that you? More grenade combatants. Nice crit. This should be something new. It's a hammer blaster. One of the weirdest enemies in the game. I still don't understand what this enemy is even supposed to be. But even so, they actually still brought it back anyways. So there's not a ton exciting about Hammer Blaster other than the fact that he can disappear. But he has not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 6 unused attacks on his ability table. So he has Zip Hammer, Zip Confuse, Flying Hammer, Flying Muddle, Flying Zip, and Flying Zip Confuse. All on his ability table, none of which are ever used. It sounds like they wanted to have some other kind of deal going on with him. Like he can fly, or like maybe like he comes out of that hole and like jumps on a zip line or something. I don't know. Maybe there's supposed to be like different holes and like a zip line and he would fly between the holes or something. There was obviously something planned. And eventually they were just like, have him just whack you with a hammer. Alright, now we got Sword Dance, who's another great name. Okay, so Sword Dance, I'll show you. Actually, I can't show you yet because we're in the elevator. Okay, I'll show you after. I'll show you after we get off the elevator. So, if you come back to the Shinra HQ after the Midgar raid, you can easily morph these guys into light curtains, which is really nice because light curtains are pretty rare. They also have 2 unused moves. One's called Gash and one is called Spinning Cut. And their name, Sword Dance, might be a reference to the cultural sword dances or mock sword battles of the past, given that it's kind of like this agile enemy. So that's probably where they got the idea of the name. And I also have one very, very interesting thing about them, but I will show you once we get out of the elevator because I need materia. So pay attention to Cloud's regular attack. 53 damage, remember that. Remember 53. And we got a boy. Alright, so remember we did 53 damage? I'm now going to put Added Effect and Mystify onto Cloud's Buster Sword. We now do double damage. So, for some extremely strange reason, Sword Dance has a very rare ailment weakness. There's only a couple enemies in the entire game that have this. He is not weak against any elements. He is weak against the ailment, or basically the element of confusion, but not the ailment. So he cannot be confused. But the actual element of confusion, he's weak against. So if you have an attack that does confusion, he takes double damage from that attack, but he can't be confused. So added effect, Mystify, gives you double damage, which is a very rare thing that does not exist on many enemies. And it seems like it's actually it wasn't like a mistake, because he also has Loco Weed on his drop table. He can drop Loco Weed, which can give confusion. It doesn't deal damage, so it wouldn't be any good against him. But the fact that he drops a confusion item and he's weak against the confusion ailment kind of, I guess, makes sense. Or maybe they were trying to hint at it or something. I don't know. But yeah, very, very strange detail. Also, I just saw that absolute mega giga ultra bomb in the chat. Livestream, you're insane. Thank you so much. And also, just thank you for being here for this. It means the world to me, man. I worked very, very, very hard on this, and I'm glad that you're here for it. Okay, okay, I already ticked off Sword Dance. Alright, now let's talk about the Mighty Grunt. Seraphic, thank you as well, man. Oh my god, insane. Thank you guys so much. You have no idea. Thank you. Okay, Mighty Grunt. So, the Mighty Grunt starts in the armor until they lose 50% of their HP. Then they lose their armor. They lose a ton of defense and magic defense, but they gain attack, speed, and evade when they're in their dancer form. Now, the unarmored form is a bit of a joke, because 3/8 of the time they use an attack called Skating, which is just an animation of them skating around, and they don't do any damage. And I always found that so strange. And I don't understand, never understood why it's a thing. And even after looking into the code and stuff, there's no reason for it. It's just a thing they do. So you'll notice here, almost half of the time, this dancer guy will just skate around and not attack. Perhaps it's like, the idea is you get rewarded for taking them out of their armor. But yeah, it's very random. And holy crap, you guys are going wild. Thank you for the bits. Thank you for the gifted subs. Slog, Deepal, Irish, Black Metal, thank you. Fop, thank you for the 16 Prime. Sergio, thank you for the gifted. Super Cool Guy, thank you for the 33. Mav, thank you for 5 gifted. UTB, thank you for the bits. Charismatic, thank you. Zcot, thank you. Alright, so let's see. How often do they just... There it is. And what's weird is they, like, go all the way up to you, but then just do nothing. And I always thought this is one of the weirdest enemies in the game, and he is. But I think the idea is they're not as strong when they're out of their armor. Oh my god, this is getting insane. Lil Juice, thank you for 5 gifted. Fridays, thank you for 5 gifted. They do get evade, though, to fit their kind of skater boy, see you later boy. But it's not very much evade. Not enough to really make a huge difference. Alright, let's pause for a second because I gotta go to the bathroom and we gotta see these alerts. Alright. Got a couple more Shinra HQ enemies, but they're on higher floors. Thank you, Metal. How's it going, Envision? Does he have bandages on his fingers? I don't think so. I'll have to rewatch it. I should memorize the mayor password thing, but when I'm not actively doing the speed run, I delete that out of my memory banks. There's two ways to do it. You can either do the time when you walk into the room, or you can do this book. Let's mock it. Or you can actually solve the puzzle, but who's got time for that? No, they don't have any steel. No, it's... You walk into the room, but you pause right before you go into the room, and then you look at the time. And, if it's... Depending on what number it ends in, you can tell what the password's going to be. Like modular 4, so if it's like 1... it's bomb. If it's 2, it's Mako. If it's 3, it's best. What's the other one? If it's 4, it's the other one. And then if it's 5, it goes back to Mako. And then 6 is bomb, and then 7 is best. And 8 is king. And then it goes all the way up to 60. How's it going, Bio? Good to see you, man. So that's how we do it in the speed run, because it's faster to pause and check the time than it is to go and check the book. So that's how you do it in the speed run. I guess I could have rested, huh? Oh, I did. Hey, chat. Did you know? Speaking of fun fact trivia, did you know that if you place the first Midgar parts in the bottom right-hand corner of the diorama, it opens all the chests? It's true. It's so true. Yep, it's true. I'll prove it to you. Which one do you want me to open next? This one or the top right one? First answer I see, I'm doing. Stop making things up. I won't do that. Refuse to do that. Yeah, for some strange reason. And it's like a specific line of code they put into. Normally you have to open them in the right order, but if you put the first one in the bottom right hand corner, then you can just open them up in whatever order you want. Which is usually the first one you do anyways, if you're a sane human being. Probably. You still have to do all of them to get the key card, obviously, but also this is my favorite character in the game. This is Mushroom on Friday. Just banging his head against the computer. Working for the weekend. Probably both. Like, they intended it at some point, probably for debugging, and then just forgot to remove it. So not really a bug, but just whoops. Alright, we'll finish this section of Midgar and then call it. Or Midgar, the HQ, you know what I mean. It looks like Pac-Man. And then we're doing Final Fantasy X Challenge mod. And that will be the schedule for the foreseeable future, because this playthrough will take a while, and obviously Masters mod is going to take a long time, so for the foreseeable future, every Friday will be this in the morning, and then Masters mod after. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll get the episodes for this at 5:30, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Masters mod 6 o'clock, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And that will be the plan for quite a while. How's it going, pet friend? So yeah, Fridays are going to be hype. Till at least the new year. And probably beyond. Alright, so we're looking for guard system and crazy saws and soldier thirds, which I think are all on this floor. I'm not sure about guard system. Actually, soldier thirds show up on the next floor, I think. Or sorry, Moth Slasher is the name of this one. So Moth Slasher obviously has a carbon bangle to steal, which is super strong for this part in the game. You don't get anything better for quite a while. And his regular attack is called Verbal Attack in the code, which is a weird name, but kind of makes sense because he hits you with like his beak. So I guess it's kind of a verbal attack, but yeah, that attack. It's called verbal attack in the code. You would think he would hit you with the giant spiky ball, but nope, he kind of pokes you. It kind of looks more like he's hitting you with his claws. There you go. They have a great death animation. I want to say thirds show up on the next floor. How's it going, Leo? But we should be able to get guard system here. He whispers you hard truths. They do show up in this room? Okay. I always forget. All I know is fight him before Genova pops out. Run away, doofuses. Well, on the sheet it says floor... Okay, it says floor 67 and 68, so yeah, you're right. Funny of you to assume I can read. Why are my encounters so rare? There's guard system. Or warning board, I should say. Guard system is the later one. So, warning board, one of the weird things about warning board, you probably know this from your playthroughs. But they're immune to Bolt, which is very counterintuitive because they're a giant robot thing, but they are immune to electric for whatever reason. They summon laser cannon and machine gun. It'll always start the fight by saying leave it once or warning, warning. That's always their first turn. But they also have a dummied out ability that's called leave it once, but it was never programmed to do anything. And it may have just been the way that they used to implement printing messages on the screen. Like originally they might have had the enemy do an attack called the thing and then have that print the message. But at some point they decided to switch how they did printing messages, probably so that your characters could also print messages. Like they probably programmed the guard scorpion fight and thought like, oh, we want Cloud to say something here, but we can't have Cloud use an ability because you wouldn't have that ability. It's the player character. So then they changed the way that printing messages works, and now it's just part of the code that prints the message. But at some point, they probably had abilities do it, and that's why he has this ability called Leave It Once that doesn't do anything. And then this is the laser cannon, which is just part of the warning board, and it's basically just the first ray from the starting mission, just with better stats. And the laser cannon also has a special extra attack that can paralyze you, but it's really inaccurate and doesn't normally hit. And then this is just machine gun. We talked about him earlier. He is just literally the same exact thing as the other machine gun enemy. Or no. Reverse that. He's his own enemy. He's not the same as the other machine guns. And he also has a version in the other warning board enemy, but we'll talk about that when we get there because he has kind of a funny glitch involved with him. And that just leaves the soldier third. Yay, we got useless mind blow. It's grounded, I guess. It's got a rubber ground built in. What if that was actually their thought process? There's no way, right? They wouldn't think that far ahead, would they? I think that's them. Nope. Where you at, Mr. Third Soldiers? This looks like a... yeah, back down. Gotta get those leaves up before the snow comes. We'll talk about that later, Slog. That'll be a surprise for later. Now, where are they hiding? Whatever, not my problem. I want to know how these things work, like... do they just sit around randomly in the hallways, yelling at people? Do you have to flash your ID to those things every time you walk by them? We're sure they're on this floor, huh? Do they only show up on the other side of the room? Are they shy? Do I have to trigger Hojo walking? Yep, there you go. All right, Soldier Third. So Soldier Third has the very strong Hard Edge to steal, which can't be bought until June on, so it's super strong for super long time. They're also weak against fire, which seems like they wanted to have human enemies be weak against fire, but it rarely ever happens. In fact, anything being weak to fire in this game is pretty rare, but they're weak against fire. Just like the Sword Dance, they also have the really weird Confusion element weakness. So we can put on added effect Mystify against these guys as well, and they will take double damage. And once again, they cannot be confused. They also drop Loco Weed, just like the Sword Dance. So I don't know if there was some kind of weird, like, idea they had in this part of the game that they just didn't implement for the rest of the game, where they were going to have enemies drop ailment items and then have them be like weak against that ailment or something. It feels like something that was just like lost through the coding eventually. But both these guys and the Sword Dances drop Loco Weed and are also weak against Confusion element, but can't be confused, which is super mega odd. They also have their regular attack called Split. They have Bolt 2, Ice 2, Sleep Hell, and Flying Sickle. So they have 5 different attacks, which is a lot. And Flying Sickle in particular does like kind of stupid damage. It does way more damage than it should. Wow, that bolt blasted Barret. But yeah, there's no way to even take advantage of that weakness, because you need added effect and Mystify, both of which you cannot get yet. Actually, you know, come to think of it, I think these guys can be confused. Also, he already ran out of MP. What a loser. Yeah, they can be confused. But yeah, it's not Confusion, the ailment they're weak against, it's the element. And that's it for the day. But we're only just getting started. There'll be many more wild trivia facts to come. I think I have a pretty cool one for sample. Couple interesting things for sample. Then we get to discuss the very strange Hojo experiment enemies with weird names. This whole thing's stupid. Alright, well. Again, I know I said it already, but I want to thank everyone for being here for this. It really does mean a lot. I worked super mega hard on this for weeks. Probably put 50 plus hours into just the sheet itself of all the trivia. Special shout out to Mav and Slog for the help as well. But I just hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed listening to the trivia as much as I enjoyed giving it to you. We will continue this every single week, Friday mornings. If you want to see it live on the Twitch channel, 8:30 a.m. Eastern is when we start. And then the episodes go up every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday on YouTube. And we will go through the entire game and fight every single enemy in the game, which, trust me, is crazier than it sounds. This game has an insane amount of enemies, some of which you may have never even seen before. And there's a lot of cool, interesting trivia for all of it. So very excited to continue this. Thanks again for being a part of the first session. Let's say goodbye to YouTube. YouTube, thank you so much for watching the Final Fantasy VII Trivia, Enemy Trivia Challenge. Hope you enjoyed, and we will see you in the next episodes. Peace.